In this video, I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial from my group on how to cut this stylish backless cowl neck dress. I'm going to go ahead to mark out all my basic measurements, which I've done already. So this is my shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waist, 7 inches to get my hip line, and I'm taking this pattern as my full length of the dress. The next step you're going to take is to mark your shoulder divided by 2. My shoulder is 14 inches divided by 2. I have 7 inches, and I'll mark. From this point, I'll come down by 1 inch, place my ruler, and I'm going to draw out my shoulder slope or shoulder slant. Place this to find my chest line, and to get that is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. Now I'll mark back what I have at the shoulder, place my ruler and connect. After I'm done connecting, I'll place my ruler and divide my armhole. At that point, I'll come out by ½ inch, then place my tape back on the chest line, and I'll go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 6. And from there, I'll connect from the ½ inch to the lower part, and from that part to the upper part of my pattern. Now, so I'm going to mark my bust divided by 4 at this point, then mark my sewing allowance of 1 inch. Here I'll mark my under bust circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. I'll mark the waist. So when I was marking the waist, I mistakenly used a wrong measurement for my hip. That is what I used. So I'll go ahead and adjust that later. Now go ahead to mark your hip circumference divided by 4 and add your sewing allowance. So this dress doesn't really need a sewing allowance because of the fabric. It's made like an already made dress. So whatever you have on your hip plus your sewing allowance, go ahead to take out 1 inch or 1.5 from there and go ahead to mark it at the lower part of your pattern. Now at the waistline, I went ahead to mark my actual waistline and I added my sewing allowance. Now I'll go ahead to place my ruler and I'm going to connect my pattern to the lower part. So after I'm done connecting now, I'm going to go ahead. I'll cut out this pattern before I'll go ahead to alter it into a cowl neckline. So at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up. So now after I'm done cutting out this pattern, I'm going to go ahead to mark out a basic neckline, and from there we are going to adjust the neckline of this dress and also give it a cowl neck. So I'll mark the 3 inches and come down by 1 inch from my under bust. That is where I want the draping to start. So I'll connect it to the neckline. So after this, I'll mark about 2.5 inches at the neckline of the dress, which I'll connect all the way ½ inch above my bust measurement. That is my shoulder to bust line. So after I'm done marking this, I'll go in with my marker to outline. Next, I'm going to go ahead to cut out a part of the dress where I will not be needing, and we'll go ahead to alter the pattern. So from this part now, I'll go down by 2 inches and mark. After marking that, I'll go ahead to also mark at the upper part. So I'll be dividing that 2 inches into 2 equal parts and then make a mark at the upper part. Now I'll place and connect, then go ahead to place again to connect to the upper part. Now I'll connect to the last point. So I'm going to be cutting this out. I'll use a slash and spread method to achieve this, and I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline it first before going ahead to use my scissors to cut it open. So while cutting it, I'll go ahead to place another pattern paper underneath it because we're going to be spreading out the neckline of this dress. So you can go ahead to use a measurement for this or just spread it in any way you feel it is okay for you. So this is what I have now, and I'll go ahead to use a sellotape to hold it down so that it will not move when I'm cutting it out. So from this point now at the waistline, I'll connect it to the tip of the neckline at this point. So if you notice the other part did not join, it is still okay. Now place your ruler at the upper part of your pattern and draw out a neckline, then reconnect your neckline this way. After you're done doing that, you're going to go ahead to cut out your pattern. So looking at this pattern is as if it has a joining around the under bust or waist. So I'll just go ahead and use the waist part and I'll cut this out. So if your pattern does not really have a cut at the waist, all you have to do is after cutting out, place your pattern. You don't need to cut out the under bust. Now at the sleeve of the dress, you know this dress is a backless cowl neck dress, and the neckline, we have an outer neckline at the back or a backless neckline there. So you need to add an extension which will vary from 3 inches to 4 inches. So you can do this when you're cutting out your pattern or after sewing the dress, or while sewing it you can add a fabric to the neckline. So I'll just go ahead and cut it. This is what your front pattern will be looking like. Now you'll be cutting this on fold and cut this twice to also use as your facing. Now for this pattern, this part I'll be using it to cut out the back skirt of the dress also, and I'll cut it on fold. The fabric is stretchy and I don't think it has a zipper. Now to cut out the back, I've gone ahead to mark out all the basic measurements just like we did for the front. All I'll do is to insert my measurement and add my sewing allowance. So I did that for the bust. At the waist, I marked the waist circumference divided by 4 and added my sewing allowance. Here I'll be coming down by ½ inch, and I'll also come down by ½ inch at this point because I did that for the pattern at the front. So this is my pattern. I'll place this and cut on fold. So this dress doesn't have a zipper. That means you'll be using a stretchy fabric for this particular style. See you in our next video. Thanks.